Hello and welcome to Huskers in Kansas City. I'm your host, Jake Brown. Welcome back, everybody. Wanted to do a 2026 Husker recruiting class deep dive. I want to do some grades on our top 5 recruits, whether it's out of high school, from JUCO, or from the transfer portal. But this will be a deep dive into the Huskers' top 5 recruits so far for the 2026 class. I want to go through strengths, weaknesses. I did some film study. Got some notes on that. Then I also want to give my predictions for how their careers will end up. So, starting right out of the gate, our top overall recruit for 2026, Danny Odom, cornerback out of Orlando, Florida, 6'1", 189 pounds. You see on 24/7 Sports, he's a 5-star, 31st overall player nationally, second best cornerback in the country, 4th best player in Florida. And this kid had 52 offers out of high school. 52 offers out of high school. He was also a Navy All-American, played in that bowl game. According to Rivals, ESPN, and all the others, he was a highly touted 4-star. So a 5-star on 24/7 Sports, 4-star on all others. Let's get into his strengths. Now, all these strengths and weaknesses I took from a variety of sources across the web. But then on each of these 5 players, I did my own film study, my own review, took my own notes. But let's get right into the strengths for Danny Odom. So physically, he looks the part. High-end physical traits. He's got ideal size and length for a cornerback, especially in the Big Ten. He's got he's excellent in press and man coverage. Good, strong hips. He utilizes his body well. Just does a phenomenal job in press and man coverage. He's also got really good ball skills. Active hands, forced multiple fumbles in high school. So he's a ball hawk. Some weaknesses, he does need to add strength to handle physical Big Ten receivers. We know how that goes in the Big Ten. It's a physical conference. These are big, tough receivers. His zone coverage needs a little bit of improvement, according to scouts. And then, of course, the last one, he'll just need time to adjust, right? He did play high-level competition in Florida, but the adjustment from high school to Division I is always going to take time. So I think he'll need a little bit of time just to adjust to faster, more physical receivers, get into practice, one-on-ones. It'll just take him a bit of time. So film review. So I did some film sessions. I watched his 2024 highlights and then his 2025 highlights. So first thing I noticed, active hands. He causes a ton of fumbles. He utilizes his hands very well. Just his instincts to knock out the ball. It's like the honey badger, right? Remember him? I mean, it's just active hands, constantly knowing to just punch the ball out. He's physical and run support. He's a great tackler. He's not afraid to come downhill and support in the run game. He's got a pretty solid break on routes, but to me, he seems at his best in press man-to-man. He uses his hands very well. He's physical. Like I said, great use of hands in press coverage. Lastly, he's got excellent tackling technique. He hits low. He wraps well. He seems to take pride in run support. Just a physical corner. So my prediction for Danny Odom, I think he's going to be a 3-year starter. A lot of people think he can come in right away as in his true freshman season and start. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to adjust to the college level. I think by his second year, he'll be a starter. I think he's going to earn all Big Ten honors twice. And I think he's going to be the first Husker to be drafted in the first round since Prince Amukamara in 2011. Y'all remember him, cornerback, back in the Pelini days. But I think this kid is going to be incredible. I think it'll take him a year to kind of, develop his body, get into the weightlifting program. But I think he's going to have a solid 3 years. By the time he's a junior, senior, if he stays that long, he'll be up for first team all Big Ten. I mean, it's been a long time since we've gotten a player of this caliber on the defensive side. So I'm really excited to see what this kid can do, especially coming out of Florida, playing against some of the highest competition you can. And he was a ball hawk, nabbing interceptions, making tackles, just an overall playmaker. And he looks the part, big body, long, rangy. So I think this kid is going to be the real deal for Nebraska. Next recruit, number 2, Claude Mpuma. He's a raw green player, only 2 years of varsity football, 2 years of football ever. Came from Cameroon as a basketball player, then got into football before his junior season. So he's raw, developmental project, but you can see a highly rated recruit coming out of Illinois. I give him a B plus grade. He was 127 nationally and 127th overall player in the country, 15th rated offensive tackle, 4th best player out of Illinois. His size is where all the hype is. It shows 6'5", 338 on 24/7. That's incorrect. I looked at a lot of sources. When he weighed in at Nebraska, he was 6'8", 260 pounds. So he needs to put on some weight, needs to get in the weight room, develop his body. But he was a perennial 4-star recruit, 32 offers out of high school. So everybody wanted this guy. His strengths, great size, and he's athletic for a tackle for a guy that big, like Michael Orr. You remember him, the movie The Blind Side. But only 2 years of playing football, for him to be this highly touted of a recruit is a big deal. That suggests coachability. He's got a high ceiling, has a lot of potential. Also has really good footwork, like Michael Orr, some of those NFL offensive tackles. That's a good sign for future development, right? He's raw. He doesn't have good hand usage. He doesn't have good technique. Pass protection needs work. But this kid has all the potential in the world. 6'8", 260 pounds. We'll add weight. We'll get him in the weight room. I think it'll be good. His weaknesses, still a project. Didn't have a ton of reps. He's raw mechanics. When you watch his film, you can see that. Needs polish with his hand usage and pass protection sets. And then, of course, he must add muscle and size, or muscle, to handle Big Ten rush-ins. It's a physical league. So I watched film on this guy. First thing I noticed, he's big and strong. Big, strong frame, long arms, just like what you want in an offensive tackle. He uses that to his advantage. He will have to be careful of holds at the next level. I think this is where he'll, need some polishing up on his technique. The other thing I noticed, he didn't seem to play against the best competition at Mount Carmel his senior season. It just didn't look like the highest level. Like, you compare his film to Danny Odom coming out of Florida. It just looked like a different level. So I think, again, he's a developmental project. He's raw. He's green. Doesn't have a ton of reps. So for my prediction, I think it'll take him time. We'll develop his body, get him in the weight room, get him stronger. But I think by the end, he'll be a 2-year starter. And I do think because of his high ceiling, he will get drafted in the later rounds. So a 2-year starter for the Huskers. Next one up. Now, this is going to the transfer portal, right? This is my 5 top-rated guys that we've got in this recruiting class. So that counts from high school, JUCO, and transfer portal. So my 3rd best player recruit we've got so far is Brendan Black, 3-year starter at Iowa State, offensive guard, 6'4", 320 pounds. I give it an A. I think this was a big-time pickup. Highly rated guy in the transfer portal, the 3rd rated interior offensive lineman, 4-star recruit. I think it was, I wish we could have gotten more commits like this. I wish we could have gotten some edge rushers like this, 4-star edge rushers, defensive tackles. I wish we could have gotten a running back of this caliber. But we didn't. We just got this kid. So he was our highest rated commit in the transfer portal. His strengths, experience, right? That's important in this day and age with NIL and the transfer portal. You need guys with experience and game reps. He was a 3-year starter at Iowa State. Strong run blocker, had really high PFF grades in run blocking, good production there. And he could come in and be an immediate starter with all of his game reps coming from another Power 5 school. Weaknesses, his pass protection isn't elite, according to scouts. He's only played right guard, so he doesn't have versatility beyond that position. And I also read he's not the most physically dominant interior blocker, which is ultimately tied to his technique and his strength. So not the most physically imposing blocker, but he's plenty capable in the run. So I think my prediction, I think it's a good pickup. I think he'll be honorable mention all Big Ten this season. I think he'll get a free agent deal, will go undrafted, but he will be playing in the NFL. Next up, Owen Chambliss, linebacker from San Diego State, coming with Rob Orich. I give this an A grade. You see, he's the 230th overall prospect in the transfer portal, the 14th rated linebacker in the portal. Big kid, 6'3", 230 pounds. So perfect size for the Big Ten. Let's look at his stats from this past season. That's what jumps out. 109 tackles, 5 passes defended, 4 sacks, and an interception. So active all over the stat sheet. His strengths, production, like you just saw. Tons of tackles for loss, and turnovers this past season. He's athletic, rangy linebacker. He can run and cover. And he's familiar with this new defensive scheme Rob Warch is bringing in with him, the 4-2-5. So he's going to be comfortable right away. He's not going to have that, transition period where he's learning the new playbook and assignments and everything like that. So I think that gives him a big edge and advantage to come in and play right away. Weaknesses, he's coming from, a smaller group of 5 school in San Diego State. So the Big Ten's a different animal. We know that by now. So he's got to prove he can dominate at the Big Ten level, just like he did at San Diego State. He needs a little bit of improvement on his coverage consistency, needs some refinement there, but I think, that's nitpicky. Tackling fundamentals. He got away with it at San Diego State. He'll have to shore that up in the Big Ten. And then his block disengagement was something I found often that scouts said about him. He doesn't always utilize his hands well enough to get off blocks, and that's something in the Big Ten with big linemen. He's going to have to make sure he does a better job of that. My prediction for Chambliss, I think he's going to lead the Huskers in tackles his senior year. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. I think he'll be in and out of the mix. He'll get, playing time this season right out of the gates, but I think he'll be kind of in and out. I think we'll be playing with our rotation, but I think by the time he's a senior, he'll be the starter and he'll be our leading tackler. I think he'll get honorable mention all Big Ten. You know how hard it is to get first or second team Big Ten with how many teams we got in the league now. But I see him being a middle round draft pick, day 3 guy, 4th, 5th, 6th round. He's got the prototypical size. He's fast. And I think he's going to come in and be a tackling machine for the Huskers. 5th, Andy Berberia, the JUCO All-American defensive tackle from Iowa Western Community College. He had the most production in terms of statistics from this past season. 20th best player nationally out of the JUCO ranks, 6th rated JUCO defensive lineman, 3-star recruit, 2nd best player in the state of Illinois, 6'3", 295 pounds. So you want to see a little bit of weight get put on him, but he's got the goods. The height is perfect. 21 offers coming out of JUCO, 3-star recruit. Let's look at his stats. 2024, 31 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. And then this past season for Iowa Western, 45 tackles, 18.5 tackles for loss, and 11 sacks. A lot of people think this guy was the best defensive lineman in junior college. His strengths, dominant JUCO production, high TFL and sack numbers. He was named a junior college All-American, one of the top national defensive tackles in junior college ranks. Explosive quickness out of this guy, ability to penetrate and disrupt plays, plays with good leverage. He's just a natural bull rusher. High motor, plays with a ton of effort. Those are his strengths. Weaknesses, he's got to prove that he can handle Big Ten level competition. Coming from JUCO, yeah, he dominated, but a lot of that was his high effort, high motor. He's not going to have that talent, athleticism advantage in the Big Ten. So he's going to have to prove that he can do it at that level. He's slightly undersized compared to the best FBS interior linemen in terms of weight. And then he needs a little bit of refinement in technique and leverage. Sometimes gets a little too high in his pad level. Now, from my film review, I love the film on this kid. Anytime you get a defensive lineman with 15 plus minutes of film, he's a beast. So he's a natural bull rusher. He just goes straight into their, right in through their chest. Natural bull rusher with the high motor. That's his move. Good extension of his hands. Unlike Nebraska's D lineman this past season, who never did this, and I talked about it in the Pelini days, our phenomenal defensive lines with Sue and Jared Crick. They did a great job utilizing their hands to hold up the linemen and see where the ball is going and make the play. He does a great job extending his hands at the point of contact. He holds up the lineman. He's got strong hands. And so then he can go see where the ball is going and make a play on the football. He gives great effort through the whistle, 100% effort every time. He's got a huge lower body, and he uses it well. Plays at a solid pad level most often. He gets underneath blocks a lot. And again, those strong hands allows him to make tackles, wrap guys up. The one thing he needs to work on is his finesse moves. He's a bull rusher, got great power moves, strong hands, but he doesn't have any finesse moves. His hand placement also is something he's going to have to shore up to compete at the Big Ten level against, some of the elite offensive guards. My prediction for Berberia, he's going to make his first start this season. I think he's going to be our top defensive lineman in 2027. So not this upcoming year, but the following. I think he's going to lead our team in sacks in 27. And I think he'll get drafted on day 3, 4th, 5th, or 6th rounds. I think he's going to be a big-time player for the Huskers. Honorable mention. Those are my top 5, but I do have one guy that made the honorable mention I want to at least talk about, and that's Luke Sorensen, the tight end commit we got. This kid, not a 4-star recruit, but right on the edge of it. You see his rating of an 89, so a high 3-star, 25th best tight end in the country, according to 247 Sports, 41st best player out of California. I give this grade an A. 25 offers out of high school, 6'4", 245 pounds, big kid. Like, that's a big tight end already for being a senior in high school. 3-star recruit, 25 offers. So a lot of teams wanted this kid, including Alabama, some of those elite teams. Let's get into his strengths. So he's one of the best blockers I've seen ever in the high school ranks, especially for a tight end. I mean, 70% of this kid's highlights was blocking, pancake blocks. I mean, and they said it in the scout, the scout said it in his analysis. He's one of the best inline blocking tight ends in the country. Size, versatility. He's athletic, good ball skills, wins a lot of 50-50 balls. He'll be a big-time target in the red zone for us. Makes acrobatic catches. So size, big, 6'4", 245. Phenomenal blocker, strong kid. Not afraid to get physical and use his hands to drive guys to the ground. Weaknesses. He didn't have a lot of catches his senior season. Now, I think there was some inconsistency with their quarterback his senior year, but just didn't get a high volume of catches. Only 25 catches for 306 yards his senior season. Not a great route runner yet. You'll see that in the film if you watch it. He needs to develop his sharpness on some of his routes, kind of loses his balance sometimes. And then he will, even though he's got great size, he's a big kid, he'll still need to bulk up. It's the Big Ten, right? If he's going to be a primary blocker, he's going to have to get bigger, put on some muscle and some weight. His film notes, watched a lot of film on him, has a lot of film. He's a great blocker with strong hands. He's built really well for a high schooler. Like, he doesn't look like a high school senior. He looks like he's been in college for a year or two. Played against great competition in California. There were some highlights of him playing against Modern Day. We all know that perennial power in California. So he's played against some of the best players in the country. Tough to bring down, that plays with his size. Big kid. He's tough. Keeps his balance. Doesn't go down easy. And then I put, not a great route runner. That's kind of one of the things you'll see right out of the gate on film for him. So my prediction, I think he's going to be a 3-year starter. Yeah, our tight end room is pretty deep right now. We've got Luke Lindenmeyer coming back, but it'll be his senior season. I don't think Carter Nelson is going to pan out. I honestly think he could end up transferring after this season if he doesn't get the production he wants. And beyond that, we need some guys. And I think this kid's going to come in. He's going to get in the weight room, whether he redshirts or not. I think we're going to develop him, and he's going to be the guy by the time his sophomore season rolls around. I think he'll be a 3-year starter. I think he'll get all Big Ten honors his final season. I think he's going to be a key piece in opening up holes in the running game. Nebraska's prided itself on blocking tight ends. However, Thomas Fedoni was disappointing in terms of blocking. Carter Nelson hasn't gotten much playing time. Lindenmeyer had a disappointing season this last year, and he was supposed to be our best blocking tight end. So I think getting a kid like this that's physical, that loves to block, that's going to help us on the line of scrimmage when we try to run the ball. We want to get back to our grassroots of being a, pound the rock, run the football, old school Nebraska. And I think this is that type of kid. 25 offers. Everybody in the nation wanted him. I think he's highly underrated for what his rating is. So I think he's going to be a big-time player. So that's my reviews, my top 6 players for our recruiting class thus far. Now, I will say in new news from today, we did sign Paul Mubanga from LSU. Let me pull up his page, or let me see. Maybe it wasn't him. Yep, Paul Mubanga, LSU offensive guard. Paul Mubanga commits to Nebraska. Let me pull up his page, and I'll share it with you guys. Here we go. We talked about him previously. I think this is another big pickup on our interior offensive line. Here we go. 3-star in the transfer portal. Top 15 interior offensive lineman. Was a starter for left guard, or started at left guard for 11 games the last 2 seasons at LSU, coming out of Buford in Georgia. So, again, Jeep Wade's been going to work. Securing another offensive lineman, I think, is big. So now Nebraska has 15 total commits in the transfer portal with Paul Mubanga, our most recent commit. So that's big. So we got 3 days left. The 16th is the final day of the transfer portal window. So we still got some work to do. I know we're putting in work. The coaches are getting after it. I think we're going to be looking at running back. I think we'll also try to get another couple defensive linemen. But this is good. Another important piece for depth on the interior offensive line. Big kid, 6'5", 317 pounds. And again, Power 5 starting experience. So I think getting as many of these guys in your room is important, creates more competition, makes the team better. That's all I've got today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts on my predictions, my grades for these recruits. Do you guys think I got it right? Or do you think those are the top 5 commitments so far in our class? And going back to it, I had number 1 being Danny Odom, 2, Claude Mpuma, 3, Brendan Black, 4, Owen Chambliss, 5, Andy Berberia, and 6th, Luke Sorensen. What do you guys think? Did I get it right? Was in the wrong order, right order? What do you think? Is there a guy on your list you think is going to be better than all these guys? Let me know. Please engage in the comments. I really want to get your guys' thoughts. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Don't forget about Husker basketball tonight against Oregon, 8 p.m. kickoff or tip-off. It's going to be exciting. I think we're going to blow them out. We'll do a preview, or we'll do a game summary and an episode talking about that game, likely Wednesday or Thursday. So appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Go Big Red tonight, and take care.